O'Neill Thornton here with another daily reminder for you. And today's daily reminder is set your limits. Speak with a young lady today who we were in a conversation about dating, relationships, and what all that means. And she was talking about a relationship she had, and she said, I have my limits. She was talking about what was happening in a previous relationship and why she left. And she says, I have my limits. And I said, well, what are your limits? And so she kind of thought about it for a moment. Says, well, I don't know, but I just know I have them. And I thought that was interesting. And I say that because I think we do have limits, and we set limits for ourselves in various capacities. But we also set limits that may be unconscious as well. Limits that stop us from achieving things that we want, limits that will prevent us from going after a certain thing, or limits that will tell us whatever, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, whatever the case may be. And here's the thing, we have our limits, but we get to set those limits. And that's the key. And the conversation I was having with a young lady, she was talking about how the gentleman she was dating was treating her, the things he was doing and not doing. And she said, enough is enough. I've had my limit. I'm out. So she chose to leave. Think about someone else may have their limit a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. They may be willing to put up with more things in a relationship. Why? Because they get to choose their limit. And that limit goes for relationships, it goes for jobs, it goes for business, it goes for every aspect of your life. We set our limits. And if we set our limits, then set your limits. Set your limits. What are your limits? Now, the majority of people who are watching and participating in Daily Reminder, professionals, professional occupation, etc. I'm going to imagine that there's people in all different walks of life, but you might say to someone, well, I wouldn't, that person, that professional rather, would not take a job paying $5 an hour. You say, well, I've got my limits. I'm not willing to work for less than blank. You get to set that limit at any time of your life. You could say, I'm not willing to work for less than $50,000 a year, less than $100,000 a year, less than $500,000 a year. You set that limit. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you set the limits of what you limit yourself to. You may not even go after a job that's paying $500,000 a year, because you may have your limit set at whatever arbitrary number you think you can achieve. And guess what? You've set your limit. You've set your limit. So if you get to set your limit, then set your limit in every aspect of your life. A few years ago, I got a little chunky. And someone might say, you're still chunky. But here's the thing. I got what I consider fat to me. Okay. And I was getting close to about 190 pounds. I'm 5'10", and that's heavy for me. And when I saw that scale going up, 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 I was like, whoa, no way. That was my limit. 190 pounds, that's my limit. And that's the limit that I set for myself. While I have a quart of Talenti right here next to me, I enjoy my indulgences, but here's the deal. I'll eat the things I want to eat. I'll do the things that I want to do. But then when I find myself getting to that limit, hit that gym, cut out the carbs, do my intermittent fasting, space out my meals, get back to it. Now, it'd be nice to maintain that, but I don't. But I have my limit. I have my limit. And you have yours. And you get to choose that limit at any given time. I refuse to do blank. I refuse to work less than blank. You set those limits. So, what limits are you setting on yourself? What limits are you setting on yourself right now that you may not even realize? Limits that you're living into just because. You've all heard the story about the fleas, how fleas are trained. Fleas can jump, 3 feet or more. You put them in a jar, they're going to hit that top of that jar, and then they're going to set that limit. You know what? Boom, out, hit my head. Boom, out, hit my head. Boom, boom, out, hit my head. And then what happens is they start jumping just underneath that limit, just underneath that. You can even remove the lid. They're not going to jump any higher than that because that's the limit they set. Here's where it gets powerful. Here's where it gets just incredibly, impactful. The children of those fleas will also jump to that limit. Even though that lid's not there, they see their mother, they see their father, they see their uncles, aunts, all the other fleas jumping up to that limit. And guess what? That's where they set their limit as well. Not realizing that they have the ability to jump out of that jar at any given time. And we're familiar with that story. However, we're not always familiar with how we are applying those same limits to our lives. We're applying those same limits to our own lives. So set your limits. Set your limits. So that's it for today's daily reminder, guys. Ask yourself, what limits are you setting? What areas of your life are you stopping yourself, limiting yourself? And choose where you want to set your limits. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for another daily reminder. Remember, always like, comment, share, set that a limit as well. I'm gonna limit myself to no less than 5 likes of Antonio's daily reminder a week. No less than that. That's a good limit to set. All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you soon.